My son doesn't care that I'm TikTok famous. He wants my attention, and I can't stop what I'm doing and give it to him.
He's a mega
She's
producer
a superstar, yeah.
down in Atlanta, Georgia.
She is the best gift-giving agent in the entire country, Glennda Baker.
I didn't hire Glennda to work there. I hired her because she's a bad.
When I die, nobody is going to look back and say Glennda lost that listing at 123 Banana Street and give a shit. Most people don't know I missed 40 days of my senior year and they weren't going to graduate me. I didn't want to go to school because I was bullied. And I was bullied so badly.
You have this secret sauce for storytelling. How can someone tell a story like you do?
That is the secret sauce of the storytelling.
With the decades and hundreds of clients of experience, what do you do differently? If you could teach every other agent this, it would make them way better.
Oh, what a great way to start. So.
Hey, Glennda, appreciate you coming on.
Hey, Andrew. Thank you for having me. I'm all excited.
Excited to have you. So I was curious because you're known as the most recognized voice and face in real estate, the realtor of rappers, the ambassador of the American dream, and the queen of TikTok. And you're doing so many things like Glitter and Gay. You have season 4, Glennda's Gazette, the newsletter, Glennda's Gurus, the podcasts, YouTube, and all of the storytelling masterclasses, the speaking in Spain. What is your mission and your passion? Why are you doing all of this?
Oh, what a great way to start. So, and I feel like that you do so much research, so I love that. In fact, today, I just got the video back, and you'll be the first person, and your audience will be the first person, is really like a community, the collective. And really, it's brokerage agnostic. It is for real estate agents that are looking to be inspired, impacted, and informed. It's just that simple. And my passion is helping people buy and sell real estate and create generational wealth through real estate. And for many, many years, I thought that just included helping buyers and sellers. That was how I was going to, make my mark in the real estate industry. And about 2.5 years ago, the video became more intentional. I had started in 2016 with Glennda Live, in 2017 with Posts from the Porsche. But it wasn't until about 2.5 years ago that I got really intentional about video and started posting daily on TikTok, and I love it. It created this cult following of real estate agents, and that was really where it became very apparent that not only can I help buyers and sellers create generational wealth, I can help real estate agents really change the face of their business and that level up our industry. That is really, become part of my excitement about our industry, is that now you, the real estate agent, have the ability to basically have your own news show, your own talk show about real estate in your community. And that intimate knowledge, that expertise, that skill set that you possess, you have the ability to, show that to everybody. There is no ceiling. We're used to, back in the olden days when Jesus was a baby, it was a postcard, it was a door knocker, it was a cold call. And how many of those could you do? Whereas now I average about 350,000 views a day across the video catalog. I would never be able to call 350,000 people.
Yeah, that'd be impossible.
Yeah.
So Does that stem from anywhere, or like why is that like so important to you to help the industry?
Well, because I don't really think that as a collective, we're awesome. I mean, I think that, and I hope this doesn't upset anybody, or maybe it should, the great agents are highly undervalued and the horrible agents are highly overpaid. It's just shocking to me that you can be a horrible real estate agent and make the same amount of money as me. Because I mean, I consider myself the Michael Jordan of real estate. Like I honestly believe that I should be making more money than anybody else because I think I'm the best real estate agent in Atlanta. And I even feel bad when somebody doesn't work just like when somebody decides not to work with me. Like I literally, like I had a lady this week and she's like, you know what? I really want somebody, who's going to do everything that she should do as a homeowner. And it's just not the right fit for me. And I was like, oh, wow. Like I feel really bad for her because she's going to get a real estate agent that's not nearly as good as me. And while, Lucy, the listing agent, is going to go over and move the furniture around for her, Lucy probably doesn't have the ability to negotiate tens of thousands of dollars more for that lady's house than I do. So I always think that we have the ability to improve as real estate agents, and I want every real estate agent in our industry to have a level of expertise as a sharpshooter and a heart surgeon.
So with the decades and hundreds of clients of experience that you've been through, what exactly, when you look at like your listing process from like the pricing, the before, promoting it, all the way to like closing the deal, as you said, negotiating more, what do you do differently that if you could teach every other agent this, it would make them way better?
Believe it or not, I am a much better listener than I am a talker. And the ability to not only actively listen, but ask the right questions of the client, whether it's a buyer or a seller, being able to ask them the right questions. What is your motivation? What is your goal? In the perfect world, what does the real estate transaction look like to you, Bobby and Susie? If every real estate agent would incorporate that one question, Bobby and Susie, in a perfect world, what does the real estate transaction look like to you? Do you understand they're going to give you their expectations on a platter for you to fulfill? It also tells you what they don't know so you can arm them with the right ammunition to be a great seller or a great buyer. And real estate agents never ask that. Oh, I'm number one. I'm going to put your house on MLS. I'm going to put up a sign. We're going to have tons of showings. Yes, we're going to get offers. I'm going to negotiate this. You're so busy talking at the person that you never ask them, hey, Andrew, let me ask you a question. In a perfect world, start to finish, what does the real estate transaction look like for you as a seller? In your head, where will I have succeeded and where will I have failed if this happens? Because then you have the blueprint. Number one, that's the most important question you can ask a buyer or seller. Number two, you need to understand, if you're sitting down talking with a seller, who is the buyer avatar for that product? Who is going to buy 123 Banana Street? Well, Glennda, how do I know who's going to buy 123 Banana Street? Well, I guarantee you, if you pulled up every sale in Cottonwood Estates in the last 12 months, you're going to be able to find something that is similar or a common thread in 75% of the people who bought in Cottonwood Estates in the last 12 months. Are they growing families? Are they double income, no kids? Are they single bachelors? Are they 25 to 35? Are they 35 to 45? Are they 62 and older? And that it's 2023 for God's sake. I can find you. You've never even met me.
Yep.
And I feel like that you have a dossier on me like really the CIA would have. Like, you know so much about me. You can find anything on the internet. So you look at all of the homes that have sold, you pull up 125, 127, 129 Banana Street, and you figure out who that is, how long they've been there, why did they buy. You sit down and say, Andrew, let me ask you a question. When you bought 123 Banana Street, why did you buy it? What was it about this house? What was it about this community? What was it about this area that possessed you to buy this house? Like, why was this the one? Because then you're telling me exactly who the buyer is. So you create the buyer avatar, and then you reverse engineer into where that person is. So my friend Connie calling from Toronto, she's a real estate agent in Toronto, and she gets her first listing, brand new agent. And she goes, Glennda, I've got my first new listings. I don't know what to do. You know, can you help me? And I'm like, okay, great. Let's talk about it. Where is it? What is it? What is the product? Who are the people that own it? Well, the people that own it now are investors. Okay. Why did they purchase it? Well, it's really close to the college and they have been renting it to students. Okay, great, super. And is it still going to be used for that? Do you think that like that is probably the person who's going to buy it? Is it going to be some parent who buys it for their kid? Then their kid can rent out 2 bedrooms? Like, talk to me a little bit. She tells me exactly. I'm like, okay, great. So let's do an Instagram ad and drop that ad on the school as the location. Oh, well, but the school is like 5 miles. Doesn't matter. Go ahead and drop that pin on the school. That way, anytime somebody brings up that school, they're going to see that on their Instagram. Do the bedrooms, do the yard, the door. Show every reason why somebody would buy that. She sold it in 3 days to somebody's parent who bought it for their kid, who's going to that university, who's going to rent out the other 2 bedrooms. Praise the Lord and pass the money. So if you're fishing for a shark, you're not finding a shark in Lake Lanier. You need to go to 30A, to Destin, to the Gulf of Mexico. You can find every shark in town there. You can't find them in Lake Lanier. You got to find out who is your buyer avatar and where is that buyer. And then that way you have the ability to have them come to you.
And I've noticed that you've done a lot of you've been doing this for a while. You kept a record of like a binder of everyone who's sold in neighborhoods. Do you still do all of that?
I still do that. I'm a little bit obsessive. So and I know this sounds crazy, but I love information. I am an IC on the DISC test. So I'm an expressive, analytical, but make no mistake, I'm a D in times of conflict. So, but I love the beauty pageant, but I also love the Price Waterhouse. So I think that you can almost determine, because life is patterns. I bet that you have your coffee the same way every time you drink coffee. I bet when you go to your favorite steakhouse that you have your steak that you like, whether it's a ribeye or a filet, whether it's medium or medium well or medium rare. Life is full of patterns. And if you can figure out the pattern, then you can figure out who's going to be the buyer, how long it's going to take to sell, how are they going to finance it, and where are those people. I remember my first really big listing. And I was so nervous. And I pulled every single buyer that had bought a house on that street ever. And then I researched who they were. Attorneys, doctor, C-suite, owners of companies. And then how had they financed it? And how old were they when they purchased it? And how old were they when they sold it? And so when I sat down with the seller, it was 113 different properties on this street. And I literally could go in and say, okay, so 37% of the people that purchased on this street were some sort of C-suite. 12% were some sort of in the medical field, connected with the medical field, either a doctor or some sort of healthcare based. And my people were like, how do you know this? And I'm like, oh, I went through every single house on the street and I pulled all of the information. And the unknown that I couldn't find anything about was 3%. And they're like, you're joking. I'm like, no, I'm not joking. And that's the thing. Those people interviewed 5 people. The guy on Riverside Drive, that guy interviewed the best real estate agent in Atlanta, supposedly. And she walked in thinking, oh, I'm going to get the listing because I'm the best real estate agent in Atlanta, Georgia. And he listed his house with me. So this is the thing. Your proof, nothing accelerates credibility faster than proof. Mm-hmm. And your ability to prove your knowledge of the data is literally the first step in your credibility. If you are a new agent and you don't, Glennda, I've never sold a house in Cottonwood Estates. That doesn't matter. If you know the product and the avatar for the buyer or the avatar for the seller, then you already are up 70% on your competition, because I guarantee you nobody is doing that type of research.
Someone could look at you and say, well, you're doing all of these things. How do you have time to even do all of that research?
I time block. And this is the thing. People have time for stuff that's a priority to them. Do you think it's a priority to me to get a $5 million listing all day, every day, and twice on Sunday? This is the thing, is that don't be distracted from something you should be devoted to. And you should be devoted to your business. When you're working in your business, you should be devoted to your business. When you are at home with your family, you should not be distracted from your family. You should be in the moment, right then, enjoying them, not on your phone, not working out a deal, not out on vacation at the swimming pool, at the beach, while your kid is drowning in the ocean and you're worrying about 123 Banana Street. If you focus on your work when you are working, you won't have to half-ass your way through life when you're with your family.
Yeah, and that's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. And I think that, nobody dies. Like, we're real estate agents. Like, do you understand? Like, nobody dies because you didn't answer the phone. We're not Sal, my client who's a heart surgeon. If Sal's on call and he doesn't answer the phone, somebody dies. Like me, I don't answer the phone. You can't get into 123 Banana Street. It's on showing time. There are 1,000 different ways to connect with people. They don't need to be connecting with you at 10:35 on Sunday night.
You got to keep your boundaries and separate the two.
Yeah, when you're working, don't be goofing off on your Instagram. When you're working, like literally work. Because I guarantee I'm the busiest person in the world. Somebody said to me yesterday, I was changing some light bulbs, and somebody said to me yesterday, they're like, why would you spend your time changing light bulbs? I'm like, well, first off, I want to understand how to change these particular light fixtures. They were some recessed lights. I said, I want to understand how to do it, number one, because if I don't have the ability to pay somebody or I can't do it, then I'm at the mercy of somebody else. So I always want to know how to do something myself. So that is worth my time. But the reason that I had time to do that is because I was up yesterday at 6 o'clock doing all of the other stuff, responding to emails, looking at my Airbnb, making sure that everybody was happy as a pig in a puddle. And I worked like I was really focused on my work. I got a lot done. And if you give yourself time blocks to get stuff done, you'll be so much more efficient and effective.
Yeah, it's separating and then giving your time to focus on what's in the schedule. So walk me through your process of really getting to know the product when it comes to a particular house. How do you think through that?
Well, this is one thing that I tell new agents, and that is you should be previewing 5 houses a day, 5 days a week, 25 houses a week. I guarantee you, if you preview 25 houses a week, you take notes, however you take notes, whether you're writing it on a listing sheet, whether you're dictating it into your phone, whether you're putting it into a CRM, I guarantee you, if you make a triangle, here's where I live, here's where I work, Here's where I spend the most time. And you know every house in that radius. When you go out to dinner and you're sitting at the bar having your, dinner, and somebody sits down next to you, hey, how's it going? Living the dream, selling houses every day. Oh, you're in real estate? I am in real estate. Oh my gosh, you will not believe. Do you live in the area? Oh yeah, you do? Okay. So do you know 123 Banana Street? Oh my gosh, I love that house. I mean, I love that house. I previewed it today, and I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, who can I sell that house to? And all of a sudden, this person who does not know me from Adam's House Cat is literally like, oh, wait a minute. She's a real estate agent. She's previewing. She's going the extra mile. She's trying to think of who she can sell 123 Banana Street. She knew all about the swimming pool. She knew all about the outdoor area. She knew all of the areas that needed to be updated. She knew about the master bathroom. So then when Mandy calls me and says, hey, Glennda, I saw 123 Banana Street come on the market, I can say, Mandy, I love you. You have more clothes than Emil DeMarco's. It's not going to work for you because the master bedroom closet is the size of a water closet. All of a sudden, Mandy's like, oh, yeah, I don't need to see that house because So previewing the houses, being in the weeds, that is what accelerates that credibility because you know what you're talking about. You can speak intelligently about real estate. The first thing I do, when I get to my office and I sit down in my chair, the first thing I do is I pull up every new listing. Not just every new listing in my county, my city, my area, my neighborhood. I pull up every new listing. I scan through all of the new listings. There's a $47 million house in Atlanta. It's Atlanta, Georgia. The highest sale ever was $17 million. It was Tyler Perry's house, and the Sunship guy took a $2 million loss when he sold it to Steve Harvey for $15 million. So I'm thinking to myself, $47 million. How do you justify $47 million in Atlanta, Georgia? So what did I do? I pulled it up. I pulled up all of the parcels. Wait a minute. Could this be a developer that comes in and builds multiple houses? What is the footprint of the house? Why is it this way? How much work does it need? Who's the buyer avatar? So then that way, sure enough, somebody says to me Tuesday night, so the house came on the market Monday. Is that right? Monday or Friday? I mean, it came on the market either Friday or Monday. And so sure enough, Tuesday night, I'm at dinner. Somebody says to me, hey, I heard a $47 million house came on the market. I'm like, oh yeah, I know all about it. 18 and a half acres. This is the owner. This is when they bought it. This is who built it. I got to tell you, have you seen it? Did you look at the pictures? I'm just telling you right now, whoever buys that is going to have to really love gold. And did you see how far the swimming pool is from the house? You need a golf cart. All of a sudden, that person was like, she knows every house in Atlanta. This guy randomly brings up a $47 million house, and he's like, she knows every house in Atlanta. So
do you keep
that's what you need as a real estate agent. Remember, you're leveling up your game. And your job as a real estate agent is to be the expert. Well, if you're sitting here playing some game on your phone, scrolling through social media, thinking, why is this real estate agent getting this business? Because being all jealous, you just need to work on being better yourself. And I promise you, the more you work, the luckier you will get.
So do you keep a record of all that, or do you just remember all of it?
Okay, so I have an uncanny ability to memorize houses.
Okay.
It's almost like I have a photographic memory of houses. So it's so funny to me whenever a commercial or a television or show or a movie or someone brings up a house to me, I can literally go back in the Rolodex and roll. For those of you who are 12, a Rolodex is a thing that rolled around and had cards in it back in the olden days. I can literally roll the Rolodex in my head and figure out which house it is. And you're like, oh, well, she can do that because she's been selling real estate since Jesus was a baby. when I was brand new, what I did was back in the olden days, we had a computer that had green letters. That's the only color. And you would print it out on this little dot matrix printer. And I would print them out and I would write on them everything that I loved and everything that I thought a buyer would want to do to change it. And I'd preview those 5 houses a day, 5 days a week. And so then that way, anytime that somebody brought something up, I could always like flip back to my notes and go, oh, yeah, 123 Banana Street. It had that purple bedroom. And it had all this wallpaper, yeah. And it had that nasty mauve carpet. And it backed to the freeway. So I could talk to other real estate agents and they were like, oh man, she's so smart. And for me, I was the last kid picked on the playground, and I wasn't I didn't think I was very smart in high school. So being able to like talk intelligently is important to me. And I think that it should be important to all real estate agents.
So how did that, because I saw you talk often about that, being bullied as a kid. How did that end up shaping you?
Whew. Well, in the moment, it literally crushed me. Most people don't know I missed 40 days of my senior year, and they weren't going to graduate me because I didn't want to go to school because I was bullied, and I was bullied so badly. And my mother, obviously convinced them that they were going to graduate me, and they did. But, from second grade all the way through high school, whether it was that I wasn't athletic or that I looked different than other people, I talked different than other people, I walked different than other people, there was always this constant bullying, and these boys that were the leaders of the pack, and they were the popular boys. I think that as soon as the biggest lesson I learned from that is that was situational. It was part of that environment, and that it was isolated to that environment. And you got to, in 1980s, that's your world, your high school, your friends. Remember, there's not the internet, there's not cell phones. Your high school is your group. And what I learned when I graduated from high school and started working, I didn't go to college, was, I had friends at the department store. I had friends at the bank that I worked at. I had friends that modeled. And so I was able to create different friend groups, and I realized that bullying was very isolated, and that everybody didn't think like that, and everybody wasn't going to give me a hard time. And it was the most freeing experience, knowing that it was situational. But it really taught me, when I look back as an adult, that I'm almost indestructible. Because if you could live through that, and the 4 years of high school were brutal. I thought 2nd through 7th grade was rough. 8th through 12th nearly killed me. And the mere fact that I made it through and that I'm thriving as an adult, really, it almost makes me feel indestructible. Like, there isn't anything that's going to happen to me that can't be fixed. I'm a real estate agent in Atlanta, Georgia. Like, there's not, like, what is it that's going, I'm not doing anything illegal. I love people. Like, I'm not a horrible, terrible person. What's going to happen to me? Nothing. Is the worst case scenario that I used a bad word on a podcast or in a video? Okay, so maybe you don't love me. I threw some shade on a real estate agent or a big box brokerage. Who cares? Nobody cares about that stuff. People like me because I'm real, I'm relevant, I'm reliable, and I'm relatable. I'm also raw and very refreshing in a world that is full of scripted reality. And that is everything that I am not.
And I think that speaks to why you have 800,000 followers on TikTok.
It's crazy. It's so crazy. And they feel like they know me. And I feel like you know me better than anybody. I remember was it in your newsletter that you did that article?
Yeah, it was a newsletter. Yep.
So you did this article in your newsletter, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And it was so funny because I posted it, and one of my good friends called me, Nikki Griner from high school. She called me, she's like, do you know this guy? I'm like, I've never met the guy in my life. And they're like, get out. I was like, I know. I'm like, immediate. But this is the thing, is that I wouldn't be sitting here if I didn't believe in your credibility as a host. That's the thing, is like nothing accelerated your credibility like the proof and the research that you had done for me. Same exact thing in real estate. If I can talk about a $5 million house intelligently, then Bobby and Susie are going to believe that I can sell their $5 million house.
That's so true. And kind of, because I don't want to deflect from the bullying part, because I was bullied as a kid, and I had this almost like, there was like the back end of it, like the depression, but then I had the positive, always put a smile on my face externally. Did that put a chip on your shoulder of like, let me prove them wrong?
Yeah. I mean, I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't damaged by that. I am 1000% of all of the things that have happened to me in my life. That period of where I was bullied, it created depression for me, which back then you didn't identify as depression. It changed the fiber of who I am. And somebody, I was talking with a girl that I went to high school with, and we talked about, if the same thing had happened to me today, if my child or my grandchild was going through what I went through, the kid that was orchestrating that would be kicked out of school and locked up. It was that bad. And so I think that you have to, I think you find yourself in times of struggle. You find your strength in what you overcome, and you also are able to identify the people who are in your corner. And I always look back, and while it's like a scar. If you've ever had a scar, it heals. It gets better.
Yep.
But if you touch it, it's still sensitive right there where that cut was, where that scar is. It's still sensitive. So it's healed, but it's very, very sensitive. And there was a name that boy had called me, that he got everybody to call me. And it was this girl that I had gone to high school with, and we were talking about it. He had a name for her as well. And she told me, every time that I hear that name, there's just something like I cringe. And she asked me, because she obviously remembered what he had called me. And I told her, I said, I have to tell you, I've never, ever been able to repeat it. And anytime that it's come up randomly, just not associated with me, but just someone who said it, it almost makes me physically ill. Mm. So if you think if you think that bullying does not shape you, doesn't make an impression on you, I think if you are the suck it up, buttercup kind of person, I think that you're denying a piece of you that is very valuable to understand. Because if I didn't understand that, I don't think that I would think I was indestructible. I would think that that people had the ability to hurt me. And while in that period of my time, in that period of my life, it did, now today, it's almost impossible.
Yeah. The way I see it is, it, for example, shaped the same way it shaped you. It's like, life's not happening to you, it's happening for you.
Yeah.
And if you can get through that, and then you can get through everything or anything, kind of like
Absolutely.
you said.
Yeah.
So
100%.
I was curious because your mother's played a big role in your life. She's been an inspiration. The reason you got into real estate. Was her parenting helpful through all that?
My mother had a unique style of parenting. So my mother thought I was a star. My mother thought that the sun rose and set on my head. She was 43 when I was born, and she didn't mean to get pregnant. I was a surprise, and I was the light of her life. And, you know, I was so blessed and so fortunate to have someone who loved me so much and believed in me. My mother could be you knew when she was unhappy with you. Whether she was unhappy with me or unhappy with one of my friends or unhappy with someone, you knew it. And her parenting style, while she was extremely loving, her parenting style was very stern. And she was a character. She there's just no other way to describe her. When she loved you, she loved hard, and when she didn't, she did not want to be around you. And I think that watching her and how she handled people has definitely, made an impression on me. But one thing that she said to me was, Pumpkin, your superpower is that you have an infinite capacity of love. You love people, and you love them so much, and you love them so hard. And they feel it. You make people feel that love. And I think that it was because she loved me so much that it gave me that power to love people and now love my life and understand that every day is truly a blessing, and it's what you make of it. It literally is not your circumstance. You have the ability to control your life, control your destiny more than anybody else. And you need to talk sweet to yourself, because you are the person who talks to you the most. And beating yourself up isn't going to make you believe in yourself. So I think that her parenting style impacted me, and I hope as I have grown as a person that I implement it even more.
It's kind of like how Gary Vee talks about his mom has been like a huge inspiration in him and who he became today.
Yeah, very much so.
So how did that translate into your parenting of your kids?
I would probably say I wasn't nearly the parent that my mother was. With my daughter, I was so worried about not being able to provide for her that I think that and I wasn't happy with myself. When she was younger, I think that part of me would love to turn back time and be a better parent to my kids. But I don't look back with regret. I look forward with reflection. And I look at my kids, my daughter who is now a mother, and I think to myself, you can't be too hard on yourself because you've raised an amazing woman. And so while I don't think I could take 100% credit for the woman that Victoria is today, maybe watching me and knowing how much she was loved has passed down that infinite capacity to love her own children. So, I think that I was talking with a friend the other day, and we talked about what you would do different if you were raising your kids again. And, hindsight's 2020, but you can't live in the pockets of regret of your life. That is a heavy burden to bear. So I'm putting a swimming pool at my house. And so my kids and my grandkids, hopefully it'll lure them to my house more than they already are here. And, I would say probably whether you have children or not, that in 2017, I went to a Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within conference. And it was in the moments of life that you create a lifetime of memories. And being able to string together those moments is really your legacy. And when I die, nobody is going to look back and say, Glennda lost that listing at 123 Bonus Street and give a shit. The thing that people are going to remember is my grandson and the beach trips that we went on and the times that we played Pac-Man and when we colored superheroes. Those are the things that matter. And just creating those moments of a lifetime with your family are, if you can learn that lesson, the earlier you can learn that lesson, I think the richer your life is.
Yeah. And it's hard because like salespeople, especially real estate, and entrepreneurs, you end up going down that road because you're backed in a corner sometimes for a lot of different reasons. And then once you start down that path, you're wanting to provide for your spouse or your family. And you're that's in the back of your mind of like, I'm doing this for them and providing for them. And that could come at the cost of, like you said, the family. So what's your thought now looking back, like of that, I guess, those two pieces, like someone who's very driven like you, building the business, and then also you have the family that you're building at the same time?
So I posted a video this week and it talked about time with your kids. And my son doesn't care that I'm TikTok famous. He doesn't care about that. And I talked about that I had spent these 3 days filming, different things, filming my videos, filming a podcast, filming some different promotional stuff. And we do it here at my house. And my son comes upstairs. He has an apartment in the basement level of my house. And he comes up and he's just kind of hanging out. And I know he wants to spend some time with me. Like, I know him. Like, I've known him 22 years. I know this is like his sign that he wants my attention. And I can't stop what I'm doing and give it to him. I can't stop it. And this was 2 months ago. And I sat down with Denver and I said, look, I can't stack the days like this. It's time away from my family. It's time away from my business. It's time away from my team. And those are my priorities. So just like you block time in your calendar to do your work, I want to implore you to block time in your calendar to focus on what's important to you, whether it's your family or your friends or your health. Whatever is important to you is where your focus needs to be. Don't be distracted from something you should be devoted to, because your most valuable asset isn't time, it's attention. Because you and I could be sitting in the same room You could be on your phone and I could be on my phone, and we could be spending time together, and you're not getting any of my attention and I'm not getting any of yours. So block your time so that you can give your attention to the things that are important to you while you have the opportunity. Because my son is 22. He's not always going to live in the basement. He's not always going to want my attention. And that moment is gone. I can never get it back. No matter how famous I am, no matter how much money I make, I'm never getting that moment in time back. So I want people to understand you need to be very clear on what your priorities are. You need to make time for them, and you need to be present when you are in that appointment, whether it's an appointment with your work, an appointment with your family, or an appointment with yourself.
Yeah, I don't know if I heard it from you. It might have been from your video, or where someone said, like, your kids don't want like your time, they want your attention. So it might have been from you.
That's the video that I posted was, oh gosh, what's his name? Michael, like CER or something. He's tagged in my video. And they want your attention. The people that love you, no matter who it is, your friends, your family, whoever it is, the people that love you, they don't care about anything other than your attention. That's what they want. My team, they want me in the office. They want my attention.
So what does that kind of look like now that you have your hand in all these different pots, you're doing all these things? How do you kind of break that up to separate but make time for everything?
Well, I mean, I think that there's lots of different ways. Very dedicated time. You know, I'm in my office a lot with my team. I want my team to know that I'm showing rentals just like they're showing rentals. I don't ask anybody on my team to do anything that I'm not prepared to do. Put a sign up, take a directional, drop off a lockbox. We all do it. Nobody's too good to do anything. They don't work for me. They work with me. But you've got to manage your time. And if you are, the only way that you can get a lot of stuff done is by managing your time. And there is a master class by the former CEO of Pepsi, and I can't remember her name. It's left me right this second.
I think it starts with an I, like she's Indian. I think she's Indian.
She is Indian.
I forget the name.
Yeah, I can't remember her name. But she talks about you showing off you're busy doesn't make you important. And in fact, the people who are the most productive, the people who are doing probably being more of a success with their family and with their business are the people that trust the process to delegate, that surround themselves with people that they trust to take care of things. And so I am abundantly blessed with people around me that do what their job is. And whether it's a lender or an attorney or someone on my team or, even my family, whatever they're charged with doing, like Denver, step back. He's the creative. He's the brains behind the business. Let him do his job. You cared enough to pay him and pick him. Let that person do it. And it's not your busy you saying you're busy feeds your ego, doesn't feed your pocketbook.
Yeah. And it's interesting because when I look at all the experience that you've gained, like working early on, the teams, the people you've worked under and worked with, and then I look at the market today, it's very tough. It's tight inventory. Listings are very tight. Like, what are you working through with your team that what are you helping them with, or what do you do differently that maybe you didn't get from earlier with people you?
It's the same thing. You don't, if you're running a team, if you're running a business, don't spend your time talking at the people. You need to spend your time asking the questions. Where are you winning? Where are you struggling? How can I help you? In a perfect world, start to finish, how do we get through this? So Elizabeth says to me, today's Friday, so maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, Elizabeth says to me, she goes, I've got a lot on the board, but, it feels a little bit slow right now. And I said to her, Elizabeth, we have this conversation every year in July and August. We go back to school August 1st in Atlanta. Everybody takes the last 2 weeks of July, goes on vacation. August 1st, first week of August, school goes back. Nobody is calling about real estate during those 3 weeks, and it just feels quiet. It's a great opportunity to work on your business, okay? The stuff that you never ever have time to do. So I talk to Elizabeth. I say, Elizabeth, we have this conversation every single year. You know that it's the last 2 weeks of July, first week of August. It's going to be super quiet. And then we're going to hit that growth spurt right after everybody gets back to school. People are going to start looking again. So let's just kind of think through it, take a deep breath. We've got lots on the board. And we've got plenty in the pipeline. And if we didn't have plenty in the pipeline, what we would be working on was finding those sellers, finding those off-market deals, finding the impossible, the needle in the haystack. When you have an abundance of time, you need to be finding the needle in the haystack, period. That is, because you don't have time to look for it when you're busy, when you're running around like a crazy person. You don't have time to find the 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom with a finished basement for under $500,000 in a great school district. But when you're not busy, you have the ability to call the non-owner occupants, to call the people that are aging out of their house, to call the people that, are most likely transferring in or transferring out. Call your past clients, getting in touch with them. Doing the busy work, the mundane, when you're not busy, is literally keeps you out of trouble, and it keeps you going.
So what did you tell her? Like, what does she need to start doing?
Call all your past clients. Call all your past clients. And I also told her, go home and enjoy some time with your boys before they go to college. Like, this is great. You're a little bit slow. Go do stuff with Tommy and Jackson. And that's the thing, is like, she was like, oh, yeah, they're home. They're going to go, because they're going to go back to college the second week of August, and they'll be gone.
Yep.
So don't think that you have to constantly be busy to be busy. And if you're out, Elizabeth, what she'll do is she'll go to the dog park with that dog, and she'll start talking to somebody about real estate, just like she talked to Bill. Bill takes his dog to the dog park. They know each other from the dog park. She sold him a house now. Now he's looking for an investment property. Be out and about. If you don't have anything else to do, be out and about. Jesse Itzler tells a story about when he was starting his business, that he would go to the Beverly Hills Hotel and have lunch every day. He'd have a salad and a glass of water. And, because he didn't have any money, but he knew that all the people that did have money were at the Beverly Hills Hotel for what he wanted to do. And so he goes there and has lunch every day, and he puts himself in a position, in a place to succeed. So if you don't have any business, put yourself in a position, in a place to succeed. So go back to where you live, where you work, where you spend the most time. Know all of the houses in the neighborhood. So when you go to the dry cleaners and you're standing at the drive. Don't go through the drive-through. Park your car. Walk into the counter. Hey, how are you doing, Abdul? It's so good to see you. Blah 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 blah. I'm gonna need you to clean this dress. Oh, my stars and stripes. I was showing this house, and the mud kicked up on the back. It was just crazy. Oh, that's right, Miss Glennda. You're in real estate. Abdul, I've been bringing my clothes here for 3 years. You better know I'm in real estate. You know, our son graduates from high school this year. I think that my wife and I are going to sell our big house and go into something smaller. We just don't need all that room. Hello? Like, it's that easy. Like, people, you want to make it so hard. It's so easy. Talk to people. Love on people. Enjoy people. Because people are the ones who buy and sell houses.
It's just like you said, just be present in the moment.
Be present and be prepared when the opportunity presents itself.
Exactly. So you have this secret sauce or this knack for storytelling. How can someone like tell a story like you do?
So this is the advice I'm going to give you. Take yourself back to that moment in time when you're telling the story. There was a house for sale in 1996, and it came off of the market. It expired. And my clients started looking for a house in this neighborhood, and I pulled up all the expireds and withdrawns, and I called those homeowners. And we go to look at one of the houses. So my guy says, yeah, I would definitely sell. We go to look at this house, and every time I drive by that house, I think about the husband who had grown up Episcopalian, who wanted to paint the door red. I think about them bringing their baby home from the hospital. And the emotions that invokes when I tell the story of Tim and Sissy, like that is the secret sauce of the storytelling. Take yourself back to the moment and how you felt in that moment. And tell it with a realness and a rawness that the viewer, that the listener feels like they're on the journey with you. And that really is like the secret to the storytelling. Is if I'm just telling you a story about that Lucas hit the mailbox for the third time when he pulled out of the driveway, you're just like, Lucas hit the mailbox for the third time. But if I told you, I can't figure out if it was the recycle bin that the trash guy had left in the middle of the driveway, or if it's the new truck that he doesn't know how to drive, because that mailbox has been here since 1975, and we've only been here a year and a half, and Lucas has had the ability to hit it going forwards, going backwards, and going sideways. What the hell is it? Like, it's like a little house. The mailbox is like a little house. The driveway is huge. So now you're in it with me, and you understand my frustration with the kid who hit the mailbox 3 times. That I'm going to have fixed again. Because last night, I'm pulling in and I realize he's hit it again. Sorry, I digress. That story was a little too close to home. Literally.
It's okay. That's okay.
Yeah. So, I think that when you're telling a story, you want the people to feel like they're on the journey with you. And if you can get to that point, it goes from you recounting something that happened to you to a story that people are engaged in. And it's all about see, touch, feel, smell, all of the senses, bringing everything into it.
I don't know if you do it just unnaturally at this point, or if like I assume you don't really think through it. Like the way you start the story, peel back the layers, really bring in the feeling, the emotions. Like, how did you learn to do all of that?
My grandfather told a story like you could not believe. I would get sent to my grandparents in the summer. I'm not sure why. Now that I think about it, like, I don't know why my mom sent me there. Maybe she just needed a break from me. God only knows. But anyway, so my mom would send me to my grandparents. And oh my God, my grandfather was a talker. That man was a chatty Chuck. And he could tell stories about the war, and he could tell stories about the Dixie Mercerizing Company. He could tell stories about the cold and the meat house and the tin roof. And you literally felt like you could, like, I remember, it's the summertime in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's hot and humid and gross and bugs and nasty. And I remember sitting in the living room and him talking about the rain on the tin roof and the dew on the grass. And I remember feeling chilled. And maybe it's just him that comes through me when I'm telling the story, because people are always like, Glennda, you're so full of shit. Like, that did not happen. When I sold that wrong house, people were like, you did not sell the wrong house. And I'm like, well, kind of I did, but thank God it turned out okay. But people don't even believe it. I mean, they don't believe that there was a rapper party down the street. They broke into my house to shoot my listing, to shoot a rap video. And then they were going to have a mansion party, and it was on Instagram. Like, when I tell the story about, hiding behind the police car and calling the police and 6 people breaking in and a machine gun, they're like, holy shit, that really did happen. So you just got to take them with you. But I think it's my grandfather who just comes out when I tell the story.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because it feels like just natural. Like,
yeah, it is. It is. Maybe it's like that need to, because I want you to want to be with me. Like, I want you to want to hang out with me. And maybe that's what, like, provokes the stories. Because if you think that, oh, wow, like, if I hang out with Glennda, like, maybe we're going to a mansion party that's illegal. Like, maybe that's what it is. I don't know, but I want everybody to experience life with me for some reason.
That's awesome. So with everything that you're doing with like Glitter and Gay, Glennda's Gazette, like TikTok, like where's kind of like your energy, your focus, like the master classes, like what's kind of bringing you joy right now the most? And I don't want to like make that like a pit against the others to ask, like, where's your focus, or like why are you focusing on like the podcast and the email and all those?
My focus is on reaching people, period. That's it. Like, arguably Kris Jenner is the most successful business in the country because she has the largest email list. They've got over 1 billion followers between the accounts that she basically runs. But she's got 70% of the emails of those 1 billion people. Because she has created this need for curiosity, this need to know about what is the next thing that is going to happen. Kris Jenner created a community, a world, and I think she's been able to monetize the products that her family sells better than anybody. And she's done that with exposure. And some people would say, I can't believe that you look at this person as a business person. because was her first business move to push her child's sex tape. And I would probably say it was a genius move because somebody was going to release it. And at least she had the ability to control the narrative of its release and leverage it. And no matter what bad press they've gotten, no matter what bad has happened, she's figured out a way to spin it and package it to leverage it and monetize their businesses. And she's done all of that through exposure. So if you think that exposure and email addresses are not the path to the promised land, I think that you're probably not living in 2023. It's just that simple. So what is it that I'm trying to do? I know that with exposure and email lists, I can impact, inspire, and inform people. I know that I can bring, I know for a fact, and it's not my ego, it's my reality. I know for a fact that I can help people change their lives. I get DMs, text messages, phone calls every day from people all over the world that say, I listened to your podcast on Glitter and Gay. I read the article in the Glennda Gazette. I saw your video and I decided to get into real estate. I was able to get the strength to get my kids and start a new life. Like, never in a million years would I thought that I would get those types of messages from people, but I get them every single day. And I am on a mission. I am absolutely obsessed with helping people better their lives. And I feel like that you can better your life through real estate, whether it's a buyer, a seller, or an agent. And especially for women, if you do not believe that exposure and email addresses are the pathway to the promised land, you are not thinking clearly. And I'm headed there. I'm telling you right now. I make no bones about it, no secrets. I'm here to help as many people as I can.
So building the media brand behind Glennda, that's all intentional.
100%. There is nothing that I do that is not purposeful and intentional. I am full of intention. I have zero interest in goofing off. Goofing off is not my deal. Every single thing is intentional.
Nice. So I was curious because you are constantly learning with everything. I just want to ask one final question. Okay. What does being a world-class leader mean to you?
There's a lot of people that would say control and power. You're a leader in your industry. You have a lot of power. You have a lot of influence. The best leaders that I know bring out the best in the people that follow them. If you ask me, a world-class leader, that person has the ability to look at the people that follow them, look at the people that they are leading, and bring out the best in that person, lift them up, support them, cheer them on, so that their life is better. Leadership isn't about making me powerful and influential and making my life better. My life is made better by the people that I'm able to help, that I'm able to touch. And maybe that sounds cliche, but honestly, let's think about it. Some leader who makes themselves this, queen of the world, like who, it's 2023. It's not 1893. We were not doing that anymore. This is about bringing everybody along with me for the ride. That's why on my team, I have never ever said somebody works for me We all work together. And successful leadership is the ability to bring out the best in the people that you surround yourself with and take that entire group to the next level. And that's where I'm going.
I want to commend you for being a world-class leader, leading by example, and being a shining light in the industry for everyone.
Well, I appreciate that. It has been a pleasure spending some time with you. I have to tell you, and we don't do any pre-call. We don't do any questions. There is no setup. It's here's the link, jump on, because it's really critical for me that everything that I talk about is organic, it's off the cuff, and it's really in the moment where I am. That's why I don't do any pre-meeting for these podcasts. So thank you for working with me. Thank you for recognizing me. Thank you for writing an amazing article about me. I really appreciate it.
It's my honor. I love doing it.